Hey, Father Taylor, and it's Friday, March 18th, and here's your weekly eBlast. Beautiful day today. I can only hope that the weather is comfortable for Sunday, and we're praying for no rain because at 3 o'clock, Trinity, your faith community, your church community is hosting the town of Simsbury right here in our parking lot. And if it rains, right in our building. We're hosting them because we're hosting a town-wide vigil. Every church in town is involved, but it's still considered a civic event. So it's not like a totally churchified event. It's a town event where the main players and the hosts are largely pastors, and we are the host of the town as they come to hear about the situation in the Ukraine. Many of you over the past week have signed up, and I thank you so much for your volunteer work. We anticipate anywhere between, if it's bad weather, 100, and if things go with all the advertising and handouts that have been done, this could be several hundred people. And so you will hopefully be able to park at St. Bernard's. So we're parking at St. Bernard's if you're a home team member. And because we need the whole parking lot for people. And many of the folks that we have coming as speakers or choir members from out of town, we're trying to use that in the reserve lot. So come early, and if you have a problem with it's tough to walk, great. You park on our church property. We're going to try to keep those spaces for folks who would have a hard time moving around from St. Bernard's. Otherwise, park at St. Bernard's. We need lots of help, and even if you're not on the list, consider yourself a host. We have clergy members who will be doing the opening prayer, leading a prayer litany, and doing the closing prayer, and they'll all be involved, all the clergy in town are all there. The rabbi will be there. We also have John Hampton, our state rep, and Wendy Studis, whose father actually was born in the Ukraine. She's our first select person, and she will be here. And we're having a representative from Maidan United, which is a group out of Hartford, which came together after the 2014 Russian incursion in Crimea, and all the people that were wounded, hurt, killed, devastated as a result of that. They are sending emergency medical supplies. I mean, emergency, not MRI machines, not, certain kinds of medications. They're sending stuff which you need a lot of if your apartment building just got blown up, or you were hiding in a theater and the theater just got blown up. So that money goes direct to people in the Ukraine. Another one of our speakers, Alex Kuzma, is the Chief Development Officer for the Ukrainian Catholic University. And that university is currently now housing refugees, and it is qualified for and has become the site for UNICEF's action in Ukraine. And so they'll both be speaking. And we're also, part of this isn't just a rally for let's get together, but for believers, for people who believe in the Lord and have a trust in God and know that God is listening and answers our prayers. We're there to pray, not to offend our neighbors who don't believe, but we're there to pray. We're there to pray that God does something, and quickly. There's a lot to talk about why does God do it? How does it roll out this way? I'd love to have conversations about that, but for now, we're praying for people who are suffering. We're asking God to put an end to this to stop this continual bombardment of the Ukraine. We're asking for God for healing for all those who have been wounded and displaced. We're asking God to take care of refugees and to support those host countries who are taking them in. So that's part of the reason we're there. We're also there to raise money because these places who are taking in refugees and these places that are being devastated need our help immediately. We don't need to pack up boxes of old coats, maybe later, but not right now. They need our money. and our support right now. So we're going to hear about that on Sunday at 3. If you'd like to help, come early, come at 2:30, and just come over. You'll see tables set up. If you want to come help set up tables, come even earlier, because we have to set up tables and we have to set up sound systems and set up a tent, and then we have to put it all away. So if you don't want to come early, stay late and help us put it all away. So we're hosting, and it's our honor and privilege to do this. But in the end, what we're really hoping for is relief for the people of the Ukraine. So we're happy that God has given us the nod that this is our leadership role this time in our local community. Also, call your attention to the other activities that are happening next Tuesday night, for instance. Well, tonight, I should say, Friday night is a great time to come to the church for a very short, it's less than an hour long, but a Vesper service. It's very quiet. That involves lots of candles and icons, some prayers, and some very simple songs that are almost like chants, words of scripture, but the music. It'd be a very helpful time for you to come as part of what you're doing in Lent and opening your life to more of God's presence in your life. Great opportunity to come this evening. Those details appear in the text below. Next Tuesday night, it's our privilege to host Lisa Gray at our community conversations on Tuesday night. Those begin at 6:30. It would be great to have a lot of people come. These people come because they're trying to communicate their message, and she's got a tremendous message about addictions and recovery and how that works in a suburb like Simsbury from her own personal experience. She is a sought after speaker, and we'll be having a conversation about that. And I'm hoping to get to this question: what kind of a community does a church have to be able to receive someone who is beginning recovery, or to receive a family whose loved one is dealing with an addiction? That isn't just polite church where you come in and nod and get your bulletin and do the service and go home. That's a different kind of church. And I'm wondering if God is calling us to be a church community that can receive people like that. And we don't want to hear from her opinions about that. So that's next Tuesday. We have a really wonderful Wednesday night, Stay at Home. It comes on at 8 o'clock, Evensong. The people who have gone to it this past week I heard about it on Thursday and today. So it's a wonderful service you can go to and just be at home. And coming up, I believe it's, goodness gracious, next weekend. That's right, next Saturday, starting at 9 o'clock is what is an Episcopalian? And what does that mean? So I've had so many people talk to me. I'm hoping everybody comes, because I've done this presentation before, but I think what I really want to do is to have you come and ask questions, and your questions will help, will lead how we spend that day. What's the difference between the presiding bishop and the Pope? What's the difference between the presiding bishop and our own bishop? How do decisions get made in the national church? And can a diocesan decision does that have more authority than something that the national church does? What does a priest do in situations where the priest and the bishop maybe don't get along or don't agree on something? What is the spiritual tradition that the Anglican Church and the Episcopal Church has that's different from other spiritual traditions? Like, that is to say, prayer and how we understand God and how we worship. What's different? It's not just words. There's very specific stuff about our tradition, which is our way of understanding and our own approach to God, which is a real gift to the whole world. Did you know that in the Anglican Communion, which our church is part of, the Episcopal Church is part of, like what do you think the average Anglican looks like? Would it be surprising to you to know that the Anglican Archdiocese of Nigeria is larger than the Episcopal Church in America, in Great Britain, Canada, and Australia combined? Which means that the Anglican Communion, which we're part of, is actually less white than it is of people from other countries, from the whole Anglican Church in both in Asia, Southeast Asia, Latin America, and Africa. It's really fascinating stuff to talk about. What about forgiveness of sins? What do you believe about Mary? What's the difference between a vestry and a board? Oh man, there's all kinds of great questions. And these are really essential questions for you, particularly if you're considering in your membership become an Episcopalian. We're an Episcopal church, so you can kind of come and be a member of sort of in the community, but at the heart of the community is we have a particular tradition that we're part of. And it's bigger than just Trinity Church Tarryful. And that's being Episcopalian within the Anglican Communion. So what does all that mean? I'd love to have you come out and to come out on next Saturday at 9 o'clock, not this Saturday, but the 20, would that be the 26th, I believe it is. So we're looking forward to that. But please, you can send an email to Carol at the office to sign up for that, because I want to know how many people do we have coming. So plus I always buy refreshments. So I love eating croissants and drinking coffee while we talk about good stuff like that. Okay, so that's what we got coming up. And so any other questions, you can text me. I'm out with the police department again this afternoon. So I do want to call your attention to that Rose Hatzel, Rose, and Lou, part of the church, the CWT. We're praying for her because her mom died Wednesday and her burial service is Saturday. So please keep Rose and Lou in your prayers. Okay, so God bless you guys and we'll talk to you soon.